Hello, folks. Welcome to the Crime Dog podcast. I'm your host, Johnny Fiorica, retired detective with the Rochester, New York Police Department after serving 30 years. I worked uniform patrol, undercover narcotic street investigations. I was a hostage negotiator for over 20 years, closing out my career with the fine men and women of the ATF. That's alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. Our main focus was a federal task force on violence and gun trafficking throughout these great United States of America. Sitting next to me is my trusted co-host, David Simpson. He's a 22-plus year veteran, also retired detective with the Rochester, New York Police Department. He worked in the infamous, which is more than famous, Genesee section because he was a legendary street cop. He was an undercover cop. He was a SWAT team member, homicide detective. David, welcome to the podcast, brother.
Hello, Johnny.
David, we were talking today, going back and forth. We did our live radio show this morning for iHeartRadio. We got off the air, and then all this mess happens in Minnesota. You had a bunch of stuff to do with the family today. You sent me a text and then called me and said, hey, man, we got to do a pod on this. So we jumped on. We're jumping on a live stream, and this is going to be available in future podcasts, too, because Danny puts it up on YouTube and all the other platforms that we have. This whole Minnesota thing is crazy. Danny, why don't we start out with how it all started?
Just in case you need a little reminder how it all started.
Do you have any plans to visit the border?
At some point, we are going to the border. We've been to the border. So this whole thing about the border, we've been to the border. We've been to the border.
You haven't been to the border.
And I haven't been to Europe.
Okay, so that's how it starts. Okay, folks. So this whole mess started by the Democrats. It started by the Biden-Harris administration. They had an influx of migration into our country. It was horrible. The Trump administration, obviously, when he went to become president and he was on a campaign trail, he promised that this was priority number one, to keep American streets safe. And that's exactly what he's doing. Unfortunately, in this radical left-wing city that they call Minneapolis, Minnesota, and the state of Minnesota, ICE is getting Democratic and left-wing radical opposition. Today, this is what happened. We'll have Greg Bovino explain it to you. Danny, roll the tape.
As DHS law enforcement officers were conducting a targeted operation in Minneapolis against an illegal alien, Jose Huerta Chuma. You can see this illegal alien on the screen to my left and right. That is Jose Huerta Chuma, whose criminal history includes domestic assault to intentionally inflict bodily harm, disorderly conduct, and driving without a valid license. During this operation, an individual approached U.S. Border Patrol agents with a 9mm semi-automatic handgun. The agents attempted to disarm the individual, but he violently resisted. Fearing for his life and the lives and safety of fellow officers, a Border Patrol agent fired defensive shots. Medics on the scene immediately delivered medical aid to the subject, but the subject was pronounced dead at the scene. The suspect also had 2 loaded magazines and no accessible ID. This looks like a situation where an individual wanted to do maximum damage and massacre law enforcement. Then, about 200 rioters arrived at the scene and began to obstruct and assault law enforcement. Crowd control measures have been deployed for the safety of the public and law enforcement. This situation is evolving, and more information is forthcoming.
All right, David. So that's what we have there. So that's what happened this afternoon. You and I talked about it. I mean, this is totally on the Dems. I normally don't do this traditionally. I don't blame people, but this literally, these protests and the violence that you and I have been talking about on our live stream, on our live radio shows and our other platforms, this rests 159% on the lap of the Democratic Party. Local, state, federal people all over the place, all the Dems, no matter where they are, they're constantly spewing their rhetoric. In Minnesota, it's that little twink mayor and Tim Walz, the governor. All they're doing is propagating this BS onto ICE. And this is what happens, right, David? This is exactly what happens when they spew the rhetoric that goes on. Because we got a lot to say about this.
Yeah, well, I mean, all Democrats would have to do is turn over criminals that are in custody to the federal government, to ICE, and they wouldn't be out in the streets looking for individuals like the guy they were looking for today. I
Right.
mean, it's that easy. You walk up to the jail. You and I would walk up to the jail. They would turn him over in handcuffs. We'd take him to the car, put him in, and we'd drive him to the federal detention center. It's that easy. There's no
Right.
violence in it. There's no hunting. There's no chasing. There's none of that.
Right.
Okay. It's safe. It's easy, but they don't want to do that. And then they agitate these people, which brings in a guy like the individual that was shot today, who's not even from there. Okay. I believe he's from Illinois. And he comes with a loaded handgun. Excuse me. And, you create the situation, then you rile up people and bring people in from other states due to riling them up, and they're armed, and then they get in physical confrontations with the police.
Yeah.
How the hell do you think it's going to end?
Right.
How do you think that's going to end? You're
Right.
armed and you're in physical confrontation with police.
Right.
Probably high percentage it's going to end really bad.
Right. And just so the audience knows, when Greg Bovino talks about being armed, by the way, that's a very expensive handgun. That handgun,
And a piece of shit.
yeah, it's a very expensive handgun. That 6-hour goes, it depends on what you have on it, the optics and the specs, but it runs anywhere from $600 to $1,500 depending on what you got on it. It's an expensive handgun. It's not the greatest handgun, but it's an expensive handgun. Number one. Number two, David, you're 100% right. When a guy like that, and Greg Bovino says, you go there with a loaded 9mm with high capacity, that means in New York State, because we're such a liberal state, we have to have 10 rounds or less in our handguns. Okay. These other states, when a high capacity magazine means double-digit rounds. Sometimes those rounds are stacked, double stacked, so you can get extra bullets into the magazine of the gun. That's what a high-capacity magazine means. So this guy had double high-capacity magazines. So this guy's going to a quote-unquote peaceful protest, which, by the way, another thing I want to say, I know I'm going to skip around here. It's a live show. But they said immediately that this guy had a legally registered handgun on him. That still has not been confirmed. That was what Waltz and the mayor had been saying. All right. Bovino just said the guy got taken into custody, had no ID on him. They just ID'd him about a half hour before this show was aired at 8:30 at night on January 24th. About a half hour ago, national news identified this guy. So how do they know that the gun is legally registered if the federal government had not identified him? That's number one. Number two, even if, let's play their game, let's say it was a legally registered handgun, okay, which we support the two-way rights of every American, doesn't matter what side of the aisle you fall on. Let's play their game and let's say maybe it is, maybe it's legally registered. You can't have a concealed carry permit, number one, have it loaded, number two, and go and confront federal law enforcement from doing their job, from locking up a horrible guy, which I believe this guy, like Bovino said, was a domestic assault suspect that they wanted and an illegal immigrant. But you can't have the combination of, if it is a legal handgun, a handgun at all is horrible, but say it's legal, with multiple rounds in high capacity magazines, get into a physical altercation with federal agents, okay, in a hot zone like Minnesota where they know it's been violent for at least a month now, and not expect a result like this, okay? David, I don't know what people are looking at, but we're going to break down the video based on our law enforcement experience in a minute. But I don't know what people expect when a guy goes to interrupt ICE action.
Well, he committed a crime. He obstructed. He
Yeah.
obstructed the arrest. Okay, that's a thing.
Right.
OGA would be he obstructed
Shut
the
criminal administration.
government's administration of an arrest.
Right.
So he's under arrest. They go to arrest him. Clearly resists arrest.
Right.
And he's armed.
And he's armed.
Like, why are you armed if you're going to get in physical confrontations with ICE? Why are you armed?
Right.
Like, what are you looking for?
Right.
Just like the guy the other day that had a rifle out in plain view standing there. Like, you have a rifle and you're protesting and getting confrontations with federal agents. How do you think it's going to end, rifle guy?
Right.
You're going to die.
Right.
You might take one of the agents with him, but in the end, you're going to be dead. I
Right.
promise.
Right.
I promise.
David, so let's watch. We got 2 videos, folks, that we want to show you. We want to show how the initial confrontation. We're going to show the first initial is going to be the one Danny's going to drop on us. The first how it started, and then the next video we're going to show how it ended, and then David and I are going to look at the 2 videos and assess them together. Go ahead, Danny, run them. This is the beginning of how it. There he is. He's in the middle.
Yeah, right there. Push the agent right there. Get in front of him.
Right. There he goes.
And now he's resisting.
Now he's fighting.
Now he won't go down to the ground.
Resistor.
Yep. Tommy Tough Nuts.
You hear him saying, do you hear? I think they're saying stop resisting, stop reaching.
Yep. Stop fucking reaching, he said.
Yep.
He said, stop fucking reaching.
Yeah. All right, Danny, show the other angle, if you can, please. So this is a slowed down version from the other side. They got him. You could see him actively fighting. He's on the ground. He's the one in that downward dog yoga move there. Now you see the officer. They see the gun already. They had seen the gun. It got...
See the guy comes out with his gun right there because he sees the gun.
Right. Okay, Danny, back it up again.
See, right there, I think there was an AD. If you go back, you can see it right there? You see the pop, like right, look. I mean, you can't see where I'm pointing, but if you look just before that, it looks like there's a discharge of the weapon when he's pulling it off of him. Right there. You see the spray of like smoke, like a little bit of...
You mean when the agent pulls the gun off of him?
Yeah, when the guy pulls the gun out, right, see that? There's like a mist, like you almost see like a little bit of a mist. I think that gun is notorious for having accidental discharge. All right, that's one of the big things. There's lawsuits about it going off when it's dropped, which shouldn't happen, all sorts of stuff. So I think there might have been an actual discharge when the agent pulled it out.
Pulled the suspect's gun out of him.
Yes, but that's speculative.
Okay.
But
there's right there, Danny.
And resisting.
Stop it right there. So you see the guy that's leaning in with the gray coat, and he's got the hand on the guy's right hip. That's where the gun is.
Right.
That's where the gun is. The agent goes in to grab the gun. Now, what I want to tell everybody right now, and this is somebody with David and I have experience. We've been involved in fighting with people, wrestling people that have live guns on them, real guns that are loaded. When you're involved in this, the chaos of that scene, did you see the D-bags and the assholes with the whistles? They are causing such confusion and chaos.
Because you can't hear. You can't hear what your other agents and officers are saying.
They're trying. These guys are trying.
I'm good. I got him. You can't hear that.
Right. So this is another. When I say you get what you get. Okay. You want chaos in your city. You want to go there and bust the balls of federal agents from doing their job. When they're dealing with somebody that's interfering with their lawful duty to do their job, this is what you get. You get chaos. And you get a guy reaching in, which looks like it's an agent. Looks like he's an agent. Definitely got to be an agent.
Yeah.
He reaches in to grab the suspect's gun. Okay? He reaches in to grab the effing gun. At this point, the agent that looks like he shoots him, the guy behind him, doesn't even have his gun pulled at this point. Okay? Doesn't even have it pulled at this point. Danny, hit the tape. Roll the tape. Right here. See, now they yell gun. So the gun's not out yet. Stop it, Danny.
Stop it. So
right there. Right there.
When you see the gun and when there's a gun, if I was there with Johnny and we're fighting, I would start yelling. You do it for 2 reasons. You do it so Johnny would know the guy's got a gun on him because he might not see it. And then what I want Johnny to know is to shoot his ass if something goes bad. Like he's got to be ready. Right. Second reason why you say it is so everyone around you knows that you're dealing with someone that you believe to be armed.
Right. And what do we always say, David? When there's no guns, there's one gun. When there's one gun, there's 2 guns. When there's 2 guns, there's 3 guns. Okay.
100%. Yep.
So now you see at this moment, he's got his hand and it's literally milliseconds. The guy standing up, looking down, he's ready to draw his pistol and it's going to be quick. Okay. It's going to be quick.
So
go ahead,
just
Danny.
So everyone knows. Hold on. So don't play it yet. So just like Johnny, the guy in the black mask with the greenish tan, who's got his right hand on what would be his firearm.
Yep.
Okay, that's a guy to keep an eye on. And then you see the guy in the gray jacket who's got his hand on the gun on the suspect's right hip.
Mm-hmm.
So watch how fat, and this is all amongst the chaos. Watch what happens. So I think there's a discharge. See the delay in the first. You see how there's a pop and the suspect doesn't react,
Yeah.
and then he gets shot. I think he fires on the discharge, accidental discharge. Watch the suspect not react to the first pop. The first gunshot, the suspect doesn't do anything.
Right. So this is all speculative on our part, but let me tell you,
100%. Just watch the reaction. There's a gunshot. The agents react. The suspect doesn't. He's still trying to get up, and now he goes down. Now there's a shot, and he goes down.
Right.
The first shot that goes off does not hit the suspect, or he would have felt it.
Right.
Again, it's total chaos. I mean,
It's total chaos.
And what I believe happened, and again, I'm not ruling on justification. I'm just telling you what happened. I believe there was an accidental discharge of that shitty gun, and that agent who believed he was shooting shot him on the sound of the accidental discharge.
Right. So now watch this, David. Watch what he does. So that first round that goes up, it doesn't hit the suspect, whether it's an AD or whether it's an agent. He's literally ready to go.
Does anyone else have their gun out? I don't think it. Does that guy in the top have his gun out? Yes. In his right hand? No?
See now,
the agents react.
Watch this.
He starts to stand up. See him start to stand up?
Yeah, he's starting to stand up.
And then he gets shot.
Right. Right. This is exactly what we talk about all the time, David. Police work is ugly. Violence is ugly to look at. This has been our world for 55 plus years.
Well, it's so funny because we've been in this situation 1,000 times. This is like a Friday night.
Right.
Minus shooting the guy, but fighting over a gun like this and beating the snot out of someone on the ground is like
and having to yell and communicate to each other. This is exactly what's going to. And I'm going to tell you right now. I'm going to go on a limb, and I really don't ever do this, but I'm going to tell you right now, David. I'm struggling with. I don't see how this won't even be justified. I don't see.
100%.
I don't see how this isn't going to be justified because this guy had a weapon on him, even though the agents pulled it off of him. You know, it's the chaotic scene. It's the totality of the circumstances. It's the guys, the people yelling gun. They hear a shot go off, whether that's an accidental discharge from the agents, whether it came from the suspect's gun when the agent pulled it out. It does not matter.
It's only the perception of the guy that pulled the trigger and what he believed at the time he pulled the trigger. That's it. What you Monday morning quarterbacks think is 100,000% irrelevant.
Right. And don't forget
what politicians think, or local politicians think, national politicians. It makes nothing. It has nothing to do with it. Legally, it's the reception of the shooting agent, what he perceived to be,
and it's the totality of the circumstances. What led up to this? You saw the first video. He was there. He was engaging with ICE. He was prohibiting them from doing their job. He was stepped in. He was aggressive. He was fighting with them. When he goes to the ground, you could tell his shirt gets up, exposes his waistband. He had that gun on his right hip or it's seated on the right side of his pants. You see the totality of the whole situation, the whole chaotic scene. This, in my opinion, and I could be wrong, and I'll come back on and say I was, but this is, I believe it's going to end up being a good shoot.
And 99% of police-involved shootings are justified. I mean, you're not going out on a limb here.
Now, 100%. Now, let me tell you this right now. Scumbag Tim Walz from Minnesota, the governor of Minnesota, he came on. He's like, I'm putting the government on notice. I'm telling you right now, no matter what happens, we're going to investigate this. We're investigating it. Bottom line, blah, 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 blah.
Was that after he said it was murder?
Yeah.
Okay, buddy.
Yeah, he goes on. Yeah, he goes on and claims it's a murder, and then he's going to have his guys investigate it. Yeah, that's
always nice.
proper justice. But anyways, I'm going to tell you this, David. So Waltz goes on and says, "Oh, we're investigating this. We're investigating this. This is how dumb this guy is, folks. For those that don't understand, and we want to explain it to you, this is a on-duty police-involved shooting with a federal agent. The feds have 100% jurisdiction over anybody and everybody. They're the top dog, period, end of story. Now, what you may see Tim Waltz's investigative bureau in Minnesota think that they're going to be big shots and they're going to go down and they're going to do an investigation.
And they're going to get no information.
Right. Well, they're going to go down and try to do an investigation. They may even get an indictment on the federal agent because it's such a liberal leaning area. Okay. They may get the indictment. Guess where that indictment is going to go? Right down the garbage disposal. Because the feds are going to turn around and say, yeah, congratulations on wasting the money of the taxpayers of Minnesota. Here's the deal. We're taking the case. It's going to go fed. And when we take it, we're just dropping it. Period. End of story. DOJ's got it. Bye-bye. Okay. That's what's going to end up happening. All right. So don't let anyone tell you that they have jurisdiction at all. They have zero jurisdiction over this, Minnesota. So, and by the way, the head investigator, that guy that went out there, I don't know who he is, but he went on the news this afternoon because I was watching this all day. He's like, yeah, we went down there and we had a search warrant and the feds wouldn't let us into the scene.
Well,
no shit.
That's exactly why I said you can do a parallel investigation.
Right.
Or when you make calls and say, hey, can we interview the agent? Can we get the paperwork?
Right.
Can we get this? Can we look at his gun? They're going to be like, yeah, goodbye.
Yeah, goodbye.
We're not giving you nothing.
No, it's like bringing your go-kart to a NASCAR race. Say, can I get on the track? No, you can't. Now get out of here. Here's the thing. They have federal jurisdiction. So he went on the news. Yeah, he went on the news and he's like, oh, we had a warrant and they wouldn't let us in. Yeah, you know why? Because your warrant doesn't supersede their jurisdiction, doesn't supersede Fed authority. Okay. And how do we know that? We know that because we were deputized as ATF agents. So we know how the feds work. Okay. That's it. If you're wondering who the hell we are, we already said it in the intro, but let me remind you. Okay. The feds have full autonomy over their scene because it's their guy, period, full stop, end of story. Here's another interesting thing, David, right? It was so peaceful. It was so peaceful down there. They went to do the investigation, but as soon as the feds pulled out of there, guess what happened? The investigative arm of Tim Waltz's peoples, they couldn't even get into the area. They said that they were denied by the Fed agents, but they couldn't even get into that area once the feds left. So that's how peaceful the protests were because they had to go put up their fake vigils over.
Before the guy died, I saw how peaceful it was.
Yeah, exactly. Anyways, I mean, between the mayor and Tim Waltz, this thing is literally disgusting. And what I want to tell you this too, and there's some people on social media. I'm going to tell you right now. Okay, I responded to some people on social media tonight. Here's another fact.
I got sucked into.
Here's another fact. Okay. You could say what you want about what's going on in Minnesota. Guess what? Spoiler alert. It's going on all over the United States. What they're doing in Minnesota, they're going all over the United States and doing it. In some cities, they are not sanctuary. In some states, not sanctuary states. So they're getting cooperation. That's why you're not seeing ICE agents fighting with people on the streets.
Nothing in Florida. Amazing. Nothing in Florida.
Amazing, right? Right. So they're going all over the country, folks, doing these extraction, getting these illegal, violent people out of our country. Some low-level criminals nonetheless, illegals more importantly. So they all have, like we've said a million times, illegal deportation orders from immigration judges to get out of our country. You've been told several times, enough is enough. See you later. But my point is, David, I'm going to say it again. This is going on, David, all over the country. But because these petulant children in the state of Minnesota, Minnesota, specifically Minneapolis, they have to get the limelight. They have to have the attention. And like good cops in Rochester used to say,
right. It's all show.
Right.
It's all bullshit.
Right. Like cops in the city. Remember the ghetto cops used to say, you want my attention? Now you got it. You want my attention? Now you got it. This is what you're seeing now in Minnesota, David, because it's going on all over the whole country, and none of this is making the midnight news. I'm making the evening news, except Minnesota.
Right. And I wanted to, people called me out. When are you ever going to not say a police involved shooting is justified? Well, here's the first thing. I would 100% say it wasn't justified. The problem is I don't go on emotion. I go about what is provable and what, like in New York State, Article 35 says under justification for when you can engage a subject with deadly physical force.
Right.
And I know it's the perception of the individual pulling the trigger because I lived it.
Right.
Okay. So I know that. Have I seen officer involved shootings that I think were bad shots? Yes.
Yeah.
For one, I believe it was in
100%.
Minnesota or Chicago, I forget which, but the female officer who thought she pulled her taser
Right.
and she pulled her handgun and she 5X'd the guy and killed him in a traffic stop was a totally wrong shoot. And she got
Right.
fired and she should have been fired.
Yeah.
Okay. That's an awful shooting. That should never have happened.
Right.
Okay. But that's the 1%.
Right.
And if any other profession was 99 out of 100, they would have gold statues in front of their businesses or their corporations or their hospitals if they were successful 99% of the time.
Right.
Okay. So law enforcement in the United States is justified under the law 99% of the time they're involved in shootings. Whether you like it or not, what the law is irrelevant. They are right 99% of the time. So yeah, it is kind of difficult to find a time that I'm not going to side with them. It's got to be pretty bad.
Right. There's a part of me today, David, too, that I was like, you know what, man? If I was the Trump administration, I'd be like, you know what? At first, I thought, pull out. Let them burn the city to the ground like they did during George Floyd. You know what I mean? Let it burn. Who cares? Let them act like petulant little children. But then there's a side of me. I go, you know what? F that. F that. Go in there. You got a job. You're not going to run us out. We're the federal government. We do what we're supposed to do. We're doing what both bipartisan, by the way, Democrat and Republicans voted us to do back after 9/11. Get illegal immigrants out of this country, people that should not be here. They both voted for it.
One thing I wanted to kind of put anyone that is watching through this scenario. When I was a firearms instructor, and one of the things we did was a scenario we put people through, and a guy would have his hands in his pockets.
Yeah,
okay, I'm sure you went through it.
Yeah.
And you have him at gunpoint. He's a shooting suspect, or he's involved. He's a rapist, whatever. And you're trying to take him into custody. You're by yourself, and you say, "Show me your hands." And the guy won't take his hands out of his pocket. And it's dark out, and you have your gun out, and the guy comes out, and you see the black, and it's a cell phone.
Yeah.
And you shoot.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, to everyone Monday morning quarterback, he was unarmed. He was unarmed. You shot an unarmed man. Okay. If that cop identifies that he perceived that to be a threat, he has to see his hands. Then he made a quick movement out of his hands, and he thought the cell phone was a handgun. He's 100% justified in killing that guy. Right. You might not like it, but that's the law. Okay. That's the law. And we played that scenario out for recruits and for individuals that are on the job and during the civilian police academy. That has 100% happened. It's happened.
Yeah.
Okay. The people don't understand that it's not, he didn't show the gun. He didn't shoot. He didn't have a gun. That doesn't matter. That doesn't make it justifiable or not justifiable. It's the same reason when people are like, oh, you shot him in the back. That's not a good shoot. There's nothing that says you can't shoot someone in the back.
Right.
What if the guy's pointing the gun under his arm? Shoot him in the back.
Right.
So, you got to get off the Monday morning quarterback stuff when you don't know what the hell you're talking about. You're dictating what you think is justified based on emotions and being sensitive, not on the law. And I I'm sure you do too. We take these into account based on evidence, facts, and the law. It's the law of the land that governs it. Sorry.
Yeah. And a lot of times, David, I know you as a firearm instructor, you can back me up on this. Basically, what you're saying is there's sometimes when a cop, those are used to call shoot, don't shoot scenarios, right? They're shoot, don't shoot scenarios. And when we went through those, they would stop the video, and then they'd make you justify why you did and what your actions were. You as a firearm instructor would
100%.
make us do that, right?
Yep.
And there's times
articulation.
Right. And there's times when there was incidents where two people had the same scenario, did the same thing. Okay. One articulated it correctly. The other one was like way off the charts. And, The instructor was like, "Nope, no way, no, that
Right.
was not the reason why you should have shot that guy." You know,
Right.
now, like you're saying,
Like
the
if they
guy
were
that-
like, "Oh, I was nervous. I didn't. You're going to went bang."
right,
You're going to jail.
right,
All right.
right.
But if
And
you
that's
said,
right,
I believed at the time I pulled the trigger that was a handgun, and I
Right.
fired in defense of myself to preserve my life.
right, and
Justified.
others, yep.
Justified. That's the difference.
Yeah, and speaking of cops, man, David, I it's just amazing, and he said it again today. I said it on a live radio show this afternoon, or this morning when we were on the air. That governor of Minnesota, he just can't get his foot out of his mouth. He's like, we have limited resources in our city when it comes to the police department. Yeah, D-bag. You know why you have limited resources? Because of 2020, because of George Floyd, because it's exactly the way people went in there, the paid protesters and some of the people in your neighborhoods, the way they acted during 2020, the whole defund the police rhetoric, the whole anti-law enforcement rhetoric. And that's why you don't have the resources. So don't cry when there's federal agents in your city doing what they're supposed to be doing, and you're saying, "Oh, well, we don't even have the resources to help anybody out. We got to keep our community safe." You don't have the resources because 6 years ago, you're the people, you're the ones that said defund the police and gave the anti-effing rhetoric. And that's what happens, David, right? He goes out there and claims that they don't have the resources, but at the end of the day, they don't have the resources because they can't recruit anybody, they can't retain anybody. It's the same sheet of music in just about every liberal city and liberal state all over the country. Recruitment is down, retention is down. The whole cop movement is literally in the toilet right now.
So basically, every perceived problem in Minneapolis, Minnesota is directly tracked back to horrific leadership of Democratic politicians leading those areas, jurisdictions. Everything from not having enough cops to allowing protesters to be violent protesters and organize in a manner that's almost military-like, to encouraging people to resist and show force against law enforcement and rise up and all this stuff. So everything comes back to them.
Yeah. And by the way, specifically Minnesota and Minneapolis, specifically that mayor and specifically that governor, they were both there in 2020. That's how it is, folks. Well, there it is, folks. That's it. All wrapped up. We got comments, Danny? I didn't know we had anybody listening to us. Tampon Tim. Yeah, exactly. It's our Australia girl right there, David.
I love her.
Permanent Soki. Yeah, right. And we, right now, that's Fire Guy. That's what we got to confirm.
There's a lot of
too.
questions. What kind of a permit he had? Is a permit
he
in
had,
Illinois?
It doesn't matter.
In Minnesota? Yeah, like it doesn't. And in the end, it doesn't matter. It really is semantic.
It doesn't matter. And when I want to just address this, whether it's legal or an illegal handgun, the bottom line is it does not matter if you're going there to impede law enforcement doing their jobs. When people are going, when are people going? By the way, I don't know. Wake up! ICE Border Patrol is not looking for protesters. It's protest. Yeah, that's a good point. Protesters are looking for ICE. Yeah, and these were border. And these were. That's a great point, Al. Border Patrol agents. These were These were CBP guys. They weren't even ICE agents. They're under almost the same umbrella.
She hit it right on the head.
No, I know.
ICE is looking for bad guys.
Yeah.
The only reason why there's any confrontation with protesters is because protesters are intersecting or interjecting themselves into law enforcement duties.
Yep.
And obstructing. That's the only reason. That's why Good got shot, and that's why this guy got shot.
Yeah.
In the end, they were obstructing.
Right. Exactly. What do you got, Railbird? Where is the Minnesota local police? And that's an interesting point.
That's Tommy Toughnuts department. That place is going. Give me a break. Leather jacket guy runs that place.
Yeah. That guy, he was on the news tonight too, just talking like such a D-bag, that guy. That chief is it's just horrible, man. Why is Walter Fry not being arrested? They're impeding federal law enforcement. I'm going to tell you this, though. The DOJ is looking into their press conferences they had, especially after the Renee Good incident. That's a good point, Al. Very good point.
I mean, if you want to say that Trump made comments that led to January 6th, which I don't agree with, you certainly can connect the dots that their comments have led to some of the violent protests that are going on.
Right, exactly. Yeah, Fire Guy's got a good point here, David. Literally milliseconds, split second decisions. By the way, with all these videos out on social media, everyone can now go on and just say, hey, you know what? Let me analyze all these videos while
Let me
I'm
slow
sitting.
it down
Yeah,
to
yeah.
0.25.
As I'm sitting in my pajamas on my couch in my fireplace with my hot cocoa.
Well,
They weren't out there.
Then there's people that just see a cop shoot a guy and they're like, "Oh my God,
Yeah.
Johnny got killed."
Yeah.
Give me a break. I see a million.
Right. Well, that was that lady
Yeah,
that had the video, that one angle. She on one of the videos, she was literally, and I'm like, hey, listen, this is what you wanted. You wanted to see. You want
to see behind the
instigated
curtain?
this.
You want to see how hot dogs are made?
Yeah.
You want to see? We'll show you how they're made.
Yep. Danny, what do we got? All right, cool, man. David, good run, good show, good emergency podcast. Love every second of it. Very well done, very well articulated. Folks, thank you for tuning in to the Crime Dog Live podcast live stream. We hope you stick with us for future episodes. But like my brother-in-law, Frankie Grassi, says, if you can't make it next time, who cares?
Hoorah.